Bismillah, salatu wassalam wa ala rasulillah, amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. On Facebook, social media, I've been seeing a lot of debate amongst the Muslims in reference to, do we support Black Lives Matter or do we not support Black Lives Matter? I think this needs to be sort of broken down and understood from two different angles. Obviously, the statement Black Lives Matter, we should support. I personally support that 100% unequivocally. I support that. Black lives do matter. Black lives have always been less than other life, especially in America. It's always been cheap and easy to take and easy to play with. So we understand that Black lives do matter. As an organization, Black Lives Matter, I do not support. When I was in college and undergraduate, doing my undergraduate studies, I remember back in 2013, this organization, Black Lives Matter, popped up on the scene. And I noticed that they were supported heavily by many in the LGBTQ community. So upon a little research, I come to find that two of the founding members of Black Lives Matter are two women who I guess identify as queer or lesbian or something to that effect. Fast forward to today, fast forward to now, 2020. George Floyd, civil unrest, all of these things are taking place. And Black Lives Matter as an organization are at the forefront of tackling police brutality, police reform, legislation, these type things. They're in the forefront. They're in the news every day. People are speaking on it. We are being told that we should support Black Lives Matter because of their influence and their momentum in creating, again, police reform and attacking the issue of police brutality. But I believe that we need to think longitudinally. We need to think 2 steps ahead. We can't be emotional and just jump on the bandwagon because certain issues are now being addressed. Certain issues that are hyper important. They must be addressed. And for the record, the Muslims should be more active in the leadership role. They should be more active in this entire fiasco. We should be more active in, number one, guiding the people, and number two, giving da'wah. But with that said, we need to think, again, longitudinally. We need to think 2 or 3 steps ahead. My concern with Black Lives Matter as an organization is that there is an underlying hidden, some may say it's not hidden, but there's an underlying agenda that I think is in play, laying in wait. Attacking the current issue with zeal and fervor opens the door later for other issues to be addressed. I believe that it's quite possible that there could be a Trojan horse type of tactic in play here. And what do I mean by that? Trojan horse. Right now, the call of the day is police brutality, police reform, legislation, equality, the breakdown of systemic and institutional oppression or racism. That's the call of the day. With Black Lives Matter as an organization spearheading that, I don't want to say for black people, but they are the face of the movement right now. Now, once that has been addressed, once there has been some dust settling, the next issue that could very well pop up is the making legitimate and normal and what's the word I'm looking for? To legitimize what, as Muslims, we understand to be sexual deviancy, right? The next issue will be to support them because, quote unquote, they supported us. The LGBTQ community has been attempting to ride the coattails of the civil rights movement and of the plight of African Americans for a long time. They've been riding the coattail and kicking this false equivalency that their situation is the same as our situation, and it's not. Their situation is not our situation, and I'm referencing African Americans specifically. So they, again, have been riding the coattails, making this false equivalency, this spreading this false notion that their fight is exactly like our fight. Their plight is exactly like our plight as African Americans, and it's not. It never has been and never will be. So if we are to support Black Lives Matter as an organization, later on, are we as a collective going to be called to then support LGBTQ agenda? Well, we helped you guys. It's only fair that you help us. Now, as a Muslim, we understand this type of lifestyle, this type of calling is not acceptable abadan, ever. Forever, it's not acceptable. We will not accept it, period. But for the other African Americans who are not Muslim, what are they going to get sucked into? Huh? We're talking about legitimizing a lifestyle that's against the Creator, legitimizing a lifestyle that I believe is detrimental to the African American community as a whole. The African American community by far is the most marginalized, periphery, and attacked group in America, period, hands down, bar none. We cannot afford to lose black males or black females to moral relativity, to these types of deviancy that does not build the black community, does not build black family at all. Rather, it tears it down. So we need to be careful. Back to the Islamic perspective, what I think needs to be done. This call again goes out to the predominantly African American Talab al-Ilm, or Ahl al-Ilm, the people of knowledge. And I specifically call to them because right now, these issues are specific to African Americans. We're talking Black Lives Matter. We're talking about police brutality. We're talking about an unjust judicial system. We're talking about disparities in sentencing for African Americans versus whites in America. We're talking specificity here. So it's important that the African American students of knowledge step forward and elucidate for the masses the Islamic position. For the Muslim, many of us need to be educated to the boundaries, perimeters, and limitations of our support, what our support should be for Black Lives Matter as an organization, if any. That needs to be determined by Ahl al-Ilm, the people of knowledge who have the ability to look at the Islamic ruling, to look at the information, to understand fiqh, to look at the hadith and whatever else they need to look at to determine what our participation should be with this movement, if any at all, or what our approach should be as Muslims to this police brutality, to, what action, not just talk, what action should we take? How should we galvanize our resources, put them together to make an impact and call to justice and equality? And this is what Islam mandates for us. You know, if you see an evil, you change that evil with your hand. If you can't change the evil with your hand, then you speak on it with your tongue. If you can't speak on it with your tongue, then at the lowest or the least, you hate it with your heart. So we understand that there is injustice and there is inequality targeting or aimed at African Americans in specific. So we need to figure out how we're going to attack this issue, how we're going to deal with this issue as a collective. And this is something that I'm not sure is necessarily being addressed to date. So I digress, and I step back, and I want to hear from the students. I want to hear from them to find out what are the limitations for the Muslims to participate with Black Lives Matter as an organization. What should be our level of allegiance, if any, to the organization? Not the idea of Black Lives Matter, but the organization. Again, my fear is a Trojan horse tactic in play here. And we have to understand that, you know, Black movements and organizations have a history of being infiltrated, right? And from this infiltration, destroyed from the inside out, as well as being overtaken and other agendas moving to the forefront. So the movement is being co-opted. And this is something that we need to be cognizant of. We cannot become overly emotional. We as Muslims, we're balanced. We're in the middle. We're not too far left, too far right. We're not too happy. We're not too emotional, not too sad. We're in the middle. So we can't become overwhelmed with the tidal wave of emotion that's now taking over the rest of the world and get swept up in it and forget our Islam. And what does Islam mandate for us? Allah says in the Quran, اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا. That Allah says in the Quran that He has completed for us or perfected our religion for us, right? And that He has chosen for us Islam as a path or a way. So Islam is perfect. It's completed. It is incumbent upon us to look into Islam to find the answers for what we need, to find the answers for the ills that that infect the society as we live. We need to take more of a leadership role as an ummah, and how you doing? And our students of knowledge need to step up more and address. I've been seeing, though, let me say this. I've been seeing a lot of good lectures lately. Brother Abu Usama Adhabi, he's been addressing these issues from the UK. Shout out to the brother. The brothers at the Imam Muslim Family Center have been addressing these issues as well. Sheikh Tahir Wyatt has been addressing these issues as well. So it's not that it's not being done. The brother Mufti Munir, he's also been addressing these issues as well. What I would like to see is a collective, some type of collective, maybe roundtable, videotape or live streaming, something with all of them addressing and breaking down, deconstructing these issues and giving us, number one, as Muslims, what our position should be, what our limitations are, and then number two, addressing the African American community and giving us the instruction and aid that we need. So shout out to all the brothers who I named and all those that I haven't named. You know, there's been some other ones. The brother Sajid Lippum, he's been making some videos, you know, in reference to white privilege, things like this. I've been speaking to the brother Farouk Post. Shout out to him for finishing his PhD. May Allah reward you. And there's been some others. So whoever I forgot, I do apologize. So let's go ahead and address these issues, and let's make Islam upper and first and foremost, and bring it to the forefront so that the people can see the beauty of this deen, that it's not just white thobes and beards and women in niqab, but we have the answers to the pathologies and the sicknesses that infect not only the American society but the world at large. It's upon us as Muslims to step forward. Let's get it. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.